The rain hammered the windshield like 1,000 accusations as I barreled down the interstate toward Willow Creek, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Behind me lay Los Angeles, a glittering graveyard of broken dreams where my boyfriend of 3 years had just confessed to sleeping with my agent, on the set of the indie film that was supposed to launch me into stardom. Now, at 28, I was fleeing back to the one place I'd sworn never to return. The sleepy Georgia town that had spit me out at 18 for being too queer, too ambitious, too everything. I slammed on the brakes at the county line sign, "Welcome to Willow Creek, Pop 5247, and felt the first sob rip through me, hot and ugly. This was home? No, this was exile. But as the wipers slashed away the downpour, a single thought pierced the storm. Maybe coming back was the only way to finally bury the boy who'd run away. Pulling into the gravel driveway of my childhood home felt like stepping into a faded photograph. The old Victorian house loomed under the weeping oaks, paint peeling like forgotten promises, the porch swing creaking in the wind even though no one had sat on it in years. Mom had passed 2 winters ago from the cancer that ate her from the inside out, and Dad, well, he'd been gone long before that, chasing some waitress to Florida and never looking back. The realtor had kept the place maintained just enough to sell, but I couldn't bring myself to list it. Not yet. I grabbed my duffel from the trunk, the weight of it mocking the designer luggage I'd left in LA, and fumbled with the key. Inside, the air was stale, thick with the ghost of lemon polish and Mom's lavender sachets. I dropped my bag in the foyer and wandered into the kitchen, flicking on the light to reveal the same Formica counters and the fridge humming like it had since Reagan was president. A bottle of Jack Daniels sat unopened on the counter, Mom's emergency stash, untouched. I twisted the cap and poured a generous slug into a chipped mug shaped like a cartoon cow. The burn down my throat was a welcome distraction from the ache in my chest. That's when the doorbell rang, a sharp chime that jolted me like a cattle prod. Who the hell? It was past 10 on a Friday night, and Willow Creek rolled up its sidewalks at dusk. I padded to the door, mug in hand, and peered through the peephole. My stomach dropped. Sheriff Jake Harlan stood there, rain dripping from the brim of his Stetson, his broad shoulders filling the frame of his patrol car parked curbside. At 42, he looked every bit the small-town lawman poster boy. Chiseled jaw shadowed with stubble, eyes like polished flint under the porch light, and that uniform hugging his frame in ways that should have been illegal. But to me, he was the bully who'd pinned me against the lockers in sophomore year, hissing fag through gritted teeth while his football buddies laughed. The same Jake who'd turned a blind eye when the town whispered about my phase after Mom caught me kissing Tommy Reynolds behind the bleachers. I yanked the door open, the screen rattling against the frame. "What do you want, Harlan? Come to run me out of town again?" His eyes narrowed, water beading on his lashes as he tipped his hat back. Up close, the lines around his mouth were deeper, etched by years I hadn't witnessed. "Alex Carver. Been a while." His voice was gravel-low, unchanged from the taunts that still echoed in my nightmares. "Got a call from the highway patrol. Said a beat-up Honda matching your plates was clocked doing 90 in a 65. Reckless endangerment's a misdemeanor around here." I laughed, bitter and sharp, the whiskey sloshing in my mug. "So arrest me. Or are you just here to gloat?" Willow Creek's golden boy, keeping the queers in check. Jake's jaw ticked, but he didn't flinch. He stepped closer, the scent of rain and leather cutting through the damp air. "I'm here because it's my job, and because your mom's house has been empty too long. Folks worry." He glanced past me into the dim hall, his expression softening for a split second, long enough to make me wonder if I'd imagined it. "Look, just slow down next time. Town could use you in one piece." He turned to leave, boots crunching on the wet gravel, but paused at the steps. "Welcome home, Alex." Then he was gone, taillights fading into the night, leaving me with a storm raging inside that had nothing to do with the weather. The next morning dawned sticky and unforgiving, sunlight slicing through the blinds like Judgment Day. I woke on the living room couch, fully clothed, the empty mug tipped on the carpet beside me. My phone buzzed incessantly on the coffee table, voicemails from my ex, Ryan, all apologies and excuses I didn't have the stomach to hear. Delete, delete, delete. I needed coffee, black as my mood, and answers to why Jake Harlan of all people had shown up with concern in his eyes instead of cuffs. Willow Creek hadn't changed much. Main Street was still a postcard of mom-and-pop shops. Harlan's Hardware, no relation, thank God. The diner where grease ruled the menu, and the library that doubled as the gossip hub. I threw on jeans and a faded band tee, the kind Ryan used to mock as hillbilly chic, and headed out. The air hummed with cicadas, and the humidity clung like a bad memory. First stop, the Willow Creek Diner, home of the world's worst pie and the best eavesdropping. Mabel, the waitress who'd been pouring coffee since dinosaurs roamed, spotted me before I hit the door. Alexander Carver. Lord have mercy, look at you, all Hollywood glow and city edges. She enveloped me in a hug that smelled of bacon and Benghazi, her apron dusted with flour. Sit. On the house today. I slid into a booth by the window, the vinyl cracking under me like old bones. The place was half full, farmers in overalls nursing eggs, a couple of retirees arguing over the Gazette. Mabel slid a mug my way, steam curling up like a question mark. Heard you rolled in last night. Town's buzzing. Your mom'd be proud you came back. Proud? Of what exactly? I stirred in sugar I didn't need, watching the granules dissolve, digging up ghosts. She leaned in, voice dropping to that conspiratorial whisper perfected in small towns. A facing M, honey. And speaking of, Jake Harlan pulled you over, didn't he? Folks say he looked like he'd seen a ghost himself. My spoon clattered against the porcelain. News travels fast. Lightning in a bottle. Mabel winked, but her eyes held something sharper. Jake's changed, you know. After his divorce. Messy thing with that city girl who couldn't hack the quiet. He threw himself into the job. But he's got a soft spot for strays. Like that shelter he runs out back of the station. I snorted, but the image stuck. Jake Harlan, scooping up puppies instead of pinning kids to lockers. Doubt he's reformed that much. Before she could reply, the bell above the door jingled, and in walked the man himself. Jake, out of uniform in a flannel shirt rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle from God knows what rural labor. He nodded to Mabel, then froze when his gaze landed on me. For a beat, the diner faded, the clink of silverware, the sizzle from the grill, leaving just the weight of his stare. Morning, Sheriff, I said, forcing casualness I didn't feel. Come to cite me for loitering? He approached slow, like he was herding a skittish colt, and dropped into the booth opposite me without asking. Up close, sans hat. His hair was tousled, dark wave shot with silver at the temples. Handsome in that weathered way, like a barn board smoothed by time. Just grabbing coffee. Black, Mabel, no frills. She bustled off, and silence stretched, thick as the humidity outside. Finally, he cleared his throat. About last night. I didn't mean to. Overstep. Overstep? You showed up at my door like the prodigal son police. I met his eyes, daring him to look away. They were gray, stormy, pulling me in despite myself. Jake rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture so boyish it humanized him. Heard the call on the radio. Figured it was you. Same plates as the car your mom drove. Couldn't just let it slide. Why? Afraid I'd tarnish the town's reputation? The words tasted sour, dredging up high school hallways where his shadow loomed largest. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice low. Because I owe you an apology, Alex. For back then, I was a dumb kid, scared of my own shadow. What I did, it was wrong. Dead wrong. The air punched out of me. An apology? From Jake Harlan? Mabel returned with his coffee, breaking the moment, but his words hung there, heavy as the steam rising between us. I pushed my mug aside. Apology accepted, but don't expect me to forget. Fair enough. He sipped, eyes never leaving mine. What brings you back, really? Hollywood chew you up. Something like that. I thought of Ryan's face twisted in betrayal, the script pages scattering like confetti from hell. Needed a reset. This place. It's all I have left. Jake nodded, slow, like he understood more than he let on. Willow Creek's got a way of resetting folks. Stick around. Might surprise you. As he stood to leave, dropping a 5 on the table for Mabel's tip, our hands brushed reaching for the salt shaker, mine lingering a second too long on the scarred wood of the table. Electricity sparked, unbidden, and I yanked back, heat flooding my cheeks. See you around, Alex, he said, voice rougher now, and walked out into the sun. I sat there, heart hammering, wondering what the hell had just happened. Willow Creek was supposed to be my refuge, not a minefield of what-ifs. But as I watched his truck rumble away, a dangerous thought wormed in. Maybe the boy who'd hated Jake Harlan had grown up, and maybe the man Jake had become was worth knowing. The days blurred into a rhythm I hadn't realized I'd missed. Mornings wrestling the overgrown yard into submission, afternoons sorting through Mom's attic, boxes of yellowed photos, her nursing scrubs folded neat as prayers, letters from Dad that started sweet and soured quick. Evenings, I'd walk the cracked sidewalks, nodding to neighbors who eyed me like a curiosity in a jar. "Heard you're an actor, Alex? Like on the TV?" Mrs. Hargrove from next door asked one dusk, her garden hose snaking at her feet. I mumbled something about indie films, but inside, the shame burned. Hollywood had promised escape. Instead, it had hollowed me out. Friendship found me at the library, of all places. Tucked behind the biography section was Lena Vasquez, Willow Creek's lone librarian, and the only out lesbian the town had ever produced without a full-on riot. She'd been 2 years ahead of me in school, the girl with the buzz cut and the button collection who lent me dog-eared copies of Audre Lorde when no one else would touch that gay stuff. Now, at 30, she was sharper, her dark hair streaked purple, glasses perched on a nose pierced with a tiny silver hoop. "Carver, you slumming it with us mortals now." She hugged me fierce over the checkout desk, stacks of returns teetering behind her. "Needed a book on gardening or therapy? Take your pick." I grinned, the first real one in weeks. She dragged me to the break room, really a closet with a hot plate, and poured instant coffee that tasted like regret. "Spill. Town says you and Jake had a thing at the diner." Mabel's got the details embroidered on her tongue. I choked on the brew. "A thing? Christ, Lena. He's the sheriff. And he used to make my life hell." "Used to." She arched a brow, leaning against the mini fridge. "People change. Jake's been out since his ex left him for a yoga instructor in Atlanta. Quietly. Mind you, Willow Creek's progressive as a possum in a preacher's pantry, but it's something. Runs that shelter, volunteers at the youth center. Kid now, but back then? Macho bullshit to hide, he was wrestling his own demons." My mind reeled, replaying that brush of hands, the apology in his eyes. "Out. As in. Gay as a maypole, yeah? Didn't know back in school, closeted tighter than a mason jar. But life's kicked him around." Lena's voice softened. "Give him a chance, Alex. Or don't. But don't let old ghosts dictate." We fell into easy orbit after that. Lena dragged me to her book club, 3 lesbians, a token straight ally, and enough wine to loosen tongues, where we dissected everything from Carson McCullers to the latest queer rom-com. "You're glowing," she teased one night, as we closed up shop under fluorescent hum. "Is it the fresh air or the sheriff's smile?" "Shut up," I muttered, but heat crept up my neck. Jake had been showing up more, a patrol car idling outside while I mowed the lawn, away from his truck at the stoplight. Small things, but they piled like kindling. The first real crack came at the annual Willow Creek Harvest Fair, an explosion of hay bales, funnel cakes, and blue ribbon pies that turned the fairgrounds into a fever dream of Americana. I'd gone reluctantly, arm twisted by Lena, who thrust a plate of ribs into my hands and vanished into the crowd. The air buzzed with laughter, kids shrieking on the Ferris wheel, the scent of caramel corn weaving through the October chill. I wandered the midway, the lights strung overhead casting everything in a carnival glow, when I spotted him, Jake, manning the sheriff's booth, handing out stickers to wide-eyed toddlers while their parents chatted him up. He looked at ease, laughing at some dad's joke, his uniform crisp under the strings of bulbs. Our eyes met across the throng, and he excused himself, weaving toward me with that purposeful stride. "Carver, didn't peg you for a fair type." His smile crinkled the corners of his eyes, and damn if it didn't hit me like a gut punch. "Blame Lena." Said I'd regret missing the tractor pull. I held up my half-eaten ribs, sauce smudged on my thumb. "You wrangling the chaos solo?" "Part of the gig." He fell in step beside me as I drifted toward the games, his presence a steady heat against the evening cool. We tossed rings at bottles, him winning a stuffed bear on the 3rd try, me cheering like an idiot when he handed it over with a mock bow. "For luck," he said, voice dropping low. Or whatever. The moment stretched, charged, until a voice shattered it. "Sheriff Harlan. Alex Carver, is that you?" We turned to find Reverend Ellis, the town's fire and brimstone Baptist, flanked by his wife and a gaggle of deaconesses, their faces pinched like they'd sucked a lemon. Ellis's eyes flicked from me to Jake, then back, the judgment thick as the cotton candy in his fist. Evening, Reverend. Jake's tone stayed even, but his shoulders tensed under my peripheral vision. Quite the reunion. Ellis's smile didn't reach his eyes, landing on me like a slap. Heard you've been stirring things up, Alex. Back from that Sodom by the sea, are we? Willow Creek's got standards. The words landed heavy, dredging up memories of Sunday sermons where sinners like you got name-dropped without mercy. Heat flared in my chest, old wounds splitting open. Standards? Like turning a blind eye to the gay kid getting harassed in your pews. Ellis's face purpled. Watch your tongue, boy. God's got plans. And I've got ribs. I snapped, tossing the plate into the nearest trash. Excuse me. I stormed off, pulse thundering, the crowd blurring into a kaleidoscope of oblivious faces. Behind me, Jake's voice cut through, firm but measured. Reverend, that's enough. Enjoy the fare. I didn't stop until I reached the parking lot, leaning against my car, breaths coming ragged. Footsteps crunched gravel, and there he was, bear still tucked under his arm. You okay? Jake asked, close enough that I could smell his aftershave, pine and something earthier. No. I laughed shaky. That never changes, does it? The stares, the whispers. He set the bear on the hood and stepped into my space, not touching, but near enough to feel the pull. It changes when we make it. I should have called him out years ago. For you. For everyone. Our eyes locked, the fair's distant music a faint underscore to the tension coiling between us. Why do you care now, Jake? Really? Because seeing you here. It's like getting a second shot at doing right. His hand lifted, hesitating, then cupped my elbow, gentle, grounding. And because I think about you. More than I should. The admission hung there, raw and real, and before I could second guess, I closed the gap, our lips brushing in a kiss that tasted of salt and possibility. Soft at first, then deeper, his fingers threading into my hair as the world narrowed to just us. We broke apart, breathless, foreheads touching. This is crazy, I whispered. Yeah. He smiled against my skin. But good crazy. As fireworks cracked overhead, painting the sky in bursts of color, I realized Willow Creek wasn't exile anymore. It was a beginning, terrifying, tender, and utterly mine. But nothing in this town stayed simple for long. The next week brought Tommy Reynolds back into my life like a bad sequel. I'd run into him at the hardware store, loading bags of manure into his pickup. Same lanky frame, same crooked grin that had stolen my first kiss under the bleachers. Now 30, he was a divorced dad with a toddler in tow, coaching Little League and fixing tractors for a living. Alex freaking Carver. He dropped the bags and pulled me into a back-slapping hug, his flannel shirt rough against my cheek. Heard you were back. Man, you look good. City life's treating you right. I extricated myself, forcing a smile. It's been a ride. You? Still breaking hearts. He laughed, rubbing his neck. Nah, just changing diapers now. Hey, beers later? Catch up at O'Malley's? For old times. Old times. The words twisted something in me, nostalgia laced with ache. Tommy had been my high school everything. Secret notes in lockers, stolen moments in his truck after curfew. Until his family found out, and he ghosted me cold, leaving me to face the fallout alone. Sure, I said, because forgiveness was cheaper than resentment. Tomorrow night. Lena was less thrilled when I told her over lunch at the diner. Tommy? The same Tommy who left you high and dry? Alex, that's emotional quicksand. He's different now? We all are. I poked at my BLT, appetite fading. Besides, closure's healthy, right? She rolled her eyes. Closures for Hallmark cards. Just don't let him drag you back to square one. O'Malley's was the town's dive bar, neon signs flickering over scarred pool tables, and a jukebox stuck on 80s rock. Tommy was already there when I arrived, waving from a corner booth with 2 frosty mugs. Bought the first round. To reunions. We clinked, the foam sloshing, and fell into stories. His failed marriage to a girl from the next county over, my brush with fame on a Netflix pilot that got shelved. You were always the dreamer, he said, eyes soft in the low light. Remember that night by the creek? Swore we'd run off to New York, make it big. Yeah. My throat tightened. Then reality bit. His hand covered mine on the table, thumb tracing my knuckles. I screwed up, Alex. Scared shitless of what Dad would do. But I've regretted it every day. The touch lingered, warm and familiar, stirring embers I'd thought cold. We talked until last call, the bar emptying around us, and when he walked me to my car, he leaned in, hesitant, hopeful, for a kiss I dodged with a laugh. Friends first, Tom. Baby steps. He grinned, undeterred. Fair enough. Night, Alex. Driving home, buzzed on beer and what-ifs. I didn't see Jake's truck until I pulled into the driveway. He was on the porch, nursing a thermos, the moon silvering his profile. Stalking me now? I teased, keys jingling as I approached. Patrol route. But his eyes sharpened on my flushed cheeks, the faint scent of smoke clinging to my shirt. Good time. Decent. Ran into Tommy Reynolds. Old friend. Jake's face shuddered, just a flicker, but I caught it. Yeah. Heard he's back full-time after the divorce. Jealousy? The thought thrilled and terrified. You two know each other? Small town. He stood, towering yet gentle, and handed me the thermos, coffee black. Just, watch yourself. Tommy's got a habit of complicating things. I sipped, the bitterness grounding me. And you? What's your complication? He stepped closer, breath mingling with mine in the cool night air. You, Alex. You're the best kind of complication. This time, the kiss was fire, urgent, unapologetic, his hands framing my face as I melted against him. When we pulled apart, the world felt remade. But misunderstandings brew slow in Willow Creek, and Tommy's return was just the spark. The youth center fundraiser was Lena's brainchild, a barn dance under the stars at the old Harlan farm, Jake's family land, donated for the cause. Twinkling lights draped the rafters, hay bales for seats, a local band fiddling bluegrass that had even the stiffest hips swaying. I arrived fashionably late, in button-down and boots polished for the occasion, nerves jangling like the beer bottles clinking in coolers. Lena pounced immediately, pressing a cider into my hand. You clean up nice. Jake's been asking after you all night. Has he? I scanned the crowd, families picnicking on quilts, teens giggling by the fire pit. And there he was, by the grill, flipping burgers with a kid on his hip. Domestic, disarming. Our eyes met, and he mouthed later, a promise that sent heat pooling low. Tommy showed up solo, kid with a sitter, and sidled up with easy charm. Fancy seeing you here. Dance. One spin led to two, his hand light on my waist, laughter bubbling as he twirled me under the beams. It was innocent, mostly, until I caught Jake watching from the shadows, his jaw set like concrete. After the song, I excused myself, weaving through dancers to find him. Hey, everything okay? He flipped another patty, grease spitting. Fine. Just. Didn't know you and Tommy were that tight again. We're not. It's just catching up. Frustration edged my voice. What? You think one kiss gives you claim? The kid squirmed down and toddled off, leaving us alone in the smoke haze. Jake set the spatula aside, turning full on me, hurt raw in his gray eyes. No, but seeing him touch you like that stirs up shit I'd buried. Like what? I pressed, heart aching for the vulnerability cracking his armor. Like knowing I was the asshole who made your life hell while Tommy got to be the hero. He raked a hand through his hair. I don't deserve you, Alex. Not after. You think I don't have baggage? I grabbed his shirt, fingers twisting flannel. Hollywood gutted me. But you're not that kid anymore. Prove it. He searched my face, then pulled me into the barn's dim interior, away from prying eyes. Against a stack of hay, our kiss was apology and affirmation. Slow, searing, his hands mapping my back like he was memorizing every scar. We emerged flushed, the band striking up a slow waltz, and joined the dance floor hand in hand. Whispers rippled, Reverend Ellis in the corner, eyes narrowing, but for once, they bounced off. Willow Creek was watching, and for the first time, I didn't care. The bomb dropped 2 days later, courtesy of the local paper. Sheriff Harlan's secret, ties to Hollywood heartbreaker, screamed the headline. A blurry photo of Jake and me at the fair, his hand on my elbow, my face turned up to his. Below it, speculation ran wild. Is our lawman entangled with the prodigal son returned from Tinseltown scandal? Sources say Carver's LA breakup left him desperate and dangerous. I stared at the Gazette spread on my kitchen table, coffee turning to ash in my mouth. Who? Mabel? No, she'd never. Tommy, nursing regrets over beers? Or Ellis, stirring his pot of prejudice? My phone rang. Lena, you see it? Town's on fire. Jake's at the station, fielding calls like grenades. I'm going there. I grabbed keys, the drive a blur of red lights and rage. The sheriff's office was a circus, reporters from Atlanta parked out front, locals milling like vultures. I shoved through, flashing my ID. Useless, but it parted the sea, and found Jake in his office, door ajar, voice clipped on the phone. Yes, ma'am, it's private. No comment. He hung up, spotting me, and the exhaustion in his slump hit like a fist. Who leaked it? I demanded, slamming the paper down. Doesn't matter. He stood, rounding the desk to pull me into a hug, brief, bone-crushing. We're out now, for better or worse. Worse, if Ellis has his way. I sagged against him, the scent of his shirt, laundry soap and resolve, steadying me. I'm sorry. This is my mess blowing back. Our mess. He tilted my chin up, thumb brushing my lip. I've been half out for years. This forces the full truth. And I want it with you. The door burst open before I could respond. Tommy, wide-eyed, clutching a crumpled copy. Alex, you okay? Saw the rag. It's bullshit. I had nothing to do. Save it. Jake growled, stepping between us. Your timing's impeccable, Reynolds. Tommy's face crumpled. What the hell? I'm here for Alex, not. Like you were in high school. Jake's voice was ice. Ditching him when it got hot. You don't know shit about that. Tommy shot back, fist clenching. I protected him. Took the heat so he could leave this trap. Lies. Jake advanced, and I jumped between them, palms flat on chests. Stop. Both of you. My voice cracked, echoing in the bullpen. Deputies froze, radios squawking silent. This isn't about you two measuring dicks. It's about us, me and Jake, figuring it out without your ghosts crashing the party. They stilled, breaths heaving. Tommy backed off first, eyes wet. I just wanted to make it right. Call me if you need, Alex. He fled, door banging. Jake deflated, rubbing his temples. God, I'm sorry. That was unprofessional as hell. Human. I pulled him down to sit on the desk's edge, our knees knocking. But we need to talk. Really talk. We did, over lukewarm vending machine sodas in the empty break room. Jake spilled it all. The closet in high school, fueled by his own father's belt and the town's Bible thump. The marriage to Emily as cover, crumbling when she came out as bi, and he couldn't fake it anymore. The quiet coming out to his sister, the only family left. I bullied you because you were brave, Alex. Out and unashamed when I was choking on secrets. Tears pricked my eyes. And I hated you because you were everything I couldn't be. Strong. Accepted. Not accepted. Tolerated. He laced our fingers. Until you came back. Made me want to be better. Outside, the media scrum grew, flashbulbs popping like gunfire. But inside, in that fluorescent-lit limbo, we forged a pact. Face it together. Press conference at noon, Lena on PR duty, Tommy. Well, he'd heal or fade. The climax hit that night, not in headlines, but in prejudice's sharpest tooth. Reverend Ellis rallied a prayer vigil outside the station, torches flickering, chants of repent, rolling like thunder. I watched from Jake's window, while rising as faces I'd known forever twisted in fervor. Stay here, Jake murmured, badge glinting as he geared up. Like hell. I grabbed my jacket. We're in this. The crowd parted uneasily as we emerged, Jake's megaphone crackling. Folks, Willow Creek's better than this. We're neighbors, not enemies. Alex and I, we're just two men trying to love honest. If that's a sin in your eyes, look to your own hearts. Murmurs swelled. Anger, shock, a smattering of claps from the back. Ellis surged forward, Bible raised. Blasphemy. Sodom's fire. A stone flew, glancing Jake's shoulder. Chaos erupted. Shouts, shoves, deputies wading in. I lunged for Jake as another rock arced, catching it midair, pain exploding in my palm. Alex. He tackled me to the ground, body shielding mine as the scrum closed. Sirens wailed, dispersing the mob, but not before Ellis spat his parting shot. You'll burn for this, Harlan. Both of you. Bruised and bloodied, we retreated inside, my hand wrapped in gauze, Jake's arm around my waist. "You idiot," he whispered, kissing my temple. My hero. In the quiet aftermath, with dawn creeping over the pines, I realized the betrayal in Hollywood was small potatoes. Real drama was here, in the fight for a love that scared us both, in the friends who'd stand, Lena, fierce as ever, and the foes who'd fall away. Tommy texted an apology, a bridge extended, we'd cross it someday. Willow Creek didn't applaud our coming out. Protests lingered, subscriptions to the Gazette dipped, but so did the vigils. Jake got re-elected by a landslide. Turns out, small towns crave authenticity over perfection. And me? I stayed. Auditioned remotely for roles that fit, turned the old house into a haven. Our first real date was a picnic by the creek, Tommy's Creek, where Jake proposed with Mom's antique ring, resized for my finger. "I hated you once," I said, tears salting the champagne. "Loved you longer," he replied, and sealed it with a kiss. In the end, betrayal broke me open, but home, and him, put me back together. Stronger. Whole.